morning, I'm Jamshed Baig, known as JB the Adventurer, a solo traveler and a travel blogger from Manchester, England with over 30 years of travel experience. In today's adventure, we are going to visit one of the most famous and historic tourist attractions in Scotland. It was King David I who in 1130 first constructed some of the impressive and formidable buildings we see today. The most notable exceptions are St. Margaret's Chapel from the early 12th century, which is regarded as the oldest building in Edinburgh. King David I built the chapel around 1130 and named it after his mother Queen Margaret, who was said to have performed many acts of charity, was canonized by Pope Innocent VI in 1250. In the 15th, the chapel was used as a gunpowder store. It was later given bomb-proof vaulting. Its origins were forgotten and only discovered by the antiquary Sir Daniel Wilson in 1845. The Royal Scots Dragoon Guards Museum is the regimental museum displaying the collections of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards and its predecessor regiments. One of the most exciting parts of this museum was the silver cup on display. This cup was the first trophy won by the Royal Scots Greys during their first posting to India in 1920s. The exhibition included uniforms, medals, weapons, regalia, and music of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards. A highlight of the museum is a French imperial eagle that was captured by Sergeant Charles Abbott of the Royal Scots Greys from the French 45th Regiment at the Battle of Waterloo in June 1815. It also includes military and personal memorabilia loaned by the explorers Sir Ranulph Fiennes, who served with the regiment, and the Victoria Cross awarded to Sergeant Henry Rampage of the Royal Scots Greys during the Crimean War. Vogue's Gate was the principal gate to the upper ward. The origin of the name and date of its construction are unknown. The perimeter wall of the either side was built during King Charles II's reign 1649-85 to bolster the castle's defences. Mons Mug was once seen as a cutting-edge military technology. Given to King James II in 1457, the 6-ton siege gun could fire 150 kilograms gunstone for up to 3.2 kilometers. She is named after the Belgian town where she was made. In 1460, James II had Mons Mag hold 80 kilometers to the siege of Roxburgh Castle. This was no small task. Even a team of oxen couldn't move her more than 5 kilometers a day. Unlucky king was killed there when another of his cannons exploded. King James VI put Monarchy back in action, first to attack Edinburgh Castle and then Edinburgh Castle. She ended her fighting days in King James V's navy, retiring around 1550. When Mary of Scots married in 1558, Monarchy fired a gunstone over the city in celebration. It landed in what is now the Royal Botanic Garden. Her barrel finally burst in 1681. After 75 years in England, Monarchy made a glorious return to the castle in 1829. Cavalry and infantry escorted her from Leith Docks to Castle Rock. Pirates and prisoners of war were once held in the vaults below Crown Square. In the 1700s and 1800s, hundreds of prisoners of war were held in these dark, cramped spaces. Today, a recreation of the vaults as they would have looked around 1800s offers a glimpse into the grim way of life. The first prisoners were French privateers caught in 1758, soon after the 7 Years' War began. The youngest held was a 5-year-old drummer boy captured at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. Most were sailors, many of them Americans fighting in the War of Independence. Many tried to escape. In 1811, 49 prisoners escaped through a hole in the defenses that is still visible today. All but one made it safely down Castle Rock but were recaptured. Prisoners of war came from France, America, Spain, the Netherlands, Ireland, Italy, Denmark, and Poland. Caribbean pirates were held in the vaults before they became a prisoner of war. As one of the most important strongholds in the Kingdom of Scotland, Edinburgh Castle was involved in many historical conflicts, from the Wars of Scottish Independence in the 14th century to the Jacobite Rising of 1745. Research undertaken in 2014 identified 26 sieges in its 1100 years history, giving it a claim to having been the most besieged place in Great Britain and one of the most attacked in the world. Few of the present buildings predated the long siege of the 16th century, when the medieval defenses were largely destroyed by artillery bombardment. From the 15th century, the castle residential role declined, and by the 17th century, it was principally used as a military barracks with a large garrison. The Jacobite rebellion in the 18th century caused much unrest. Jacobitism was the political movement fighting to reinstate Stuart monarchs to their thrones in England, Scotland, and Ireland. The 1715 rebellion saw the Jacobites come dramatically close to claiming the castle in the same style that Robert the Bruce's men did over 400 years before by scaling the north-facing cliff. The 1745 rebellion saw the capture of Holyrood Palace at the opposite end of the Royal Mile to the castle, but the castle remained unbroken. No such action has been seen at Edinburgh Castle since. The castle now serves as a military station and is home to the Scottish National War Memorial. It is also host to the famous Edinburgh military tattoo. No visit to Edinburgh is complete without an excursion to this historic and inspiring building that has shaped Edinburgh to be the capital city it is today. Exploring the world and sharing these exciting adventures with you is a passion of mine. Be a part of my passion by hitting the like button and share this video as much as possible. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future adventures. Take only memories, leave only footprints. See you next week with a new adventure. Ciao.